My 7-year-old daughter, Lily, stood in front of a crowded table, dressed in the shimmering silver dress she'd chosen herself. Her tiny hands clutched a small gift box, her knuckles pale from gripping it so tightly. The room buzzed with adults laughing, glasses clinking, everyone too caught up in their own chatter to notice her. Except me. I was watching, my eyes locked on her every move. She stared straight at her grandmother, raised the box just enough to draw attention, and said, "Grandma, Dad told me to give this to you if you ever ignored me again." The room froze. Forks hovered midair, the holiday music dissolved into a faint hum, and every conversation died. Her grandmother, my husband's mother, Ellen, forced a tight, puzzled smile, like it was all a childish game. But when she opened the box, there was no laughter. A raw, piercing scream tore through the room, louder than the festive carols, louder than the gasps, louder than the heavy silence that followed. People crowded around, craning to see what was inside, but I already knew. My husband, Nathan, had prepared that box months ago. He'd told me it was for the day his mother crossed a line she couldn't uncross. That day was today. Let me take you back to how we got here, how my daughter became a shadow in a room full of presents, and how that small box shattered the fragile smiles that had held this family together for years. If you're connecting with this story already, hit that like button and subscribe for more videos like this. When I married Nathan, I thought I was stepping into a warm, boisterous family. They were loud, tight-knit, always planning barbecues, game nights, or holiday gatherings. Ellen was the heart of it all, with a voice that could hush a crowd and an opinion on everything. I thought that's just how strong matriarchs held families together. I admired her. I desperately wanted her to like me. At first, she played the part, smiling at dinners, praising my desserts, giving me warm hugs as we left. But the warmth faded fast. She'd forget to add me to family group chats. She'd make little comments about how I was so different from the women in their family, how I didn't share their traditions. It was always subtle, just enough to make me wonder if I was imagining it. Then Lily came into the picture. Lily is my daughter from my first marriage, just 2 when Nathan entered our lives. He didn't hesitate, he embraced her with patience, love, and all the care a father could give. When we married, he adopted her legally. We never used the word step in our home. She was his daughter in every way that mattered, and he was her dad. But Ellen never accepted that. She'd send Lily a birthday card or a small trinket for holidays, but it was always different. Lily wasn't invited to cousin sleepovers. She wasn't included in the matching holiday sweaters. She'd sit quietly at family events while the other grandkids were showered with attention. Ellen would call Sophie her little star, buy Ethan his favorite video games, then hand Lily a generic doll or a book she clearly hadn't put thought into. Lily noticed. Kids always do. I tried to brush it off, telling her grandma was just busy, that she loved her in her own way. But every year, it got harder to make excuses. At Thanksgiving, Ellen gave each grandchild a custom mug with their name in silver. Lily's place was set with a plain one from the back of the cupboard. That night, Lily whispered to me, "Maybe she thinks I'm just here for a visit." I didn't know what to say. Nathan overheard, his jaw tightening, but he stayed silent. That was the first time I thought he might be starting to see it too. If this hits close to home, leave a comment below telling us where you're watching from. Still, we kept showing up. I told myself it was for the bigger picture, for family, for tradition, for Lily to have cousins and holiday memories. I convinced myself love didn't need to be proven with gifts or matching sweaters. But deep down, I was lying to myself. I stayed quiet because I didn't want to be the problem, didn't want to force Nathan to choose between his mother and me. Every time I swallowed my hurt, I told myself I was doing the right thing for Lily, teaching her to be the bigger person. But I didn't realize I was teaching her that being treated as less was something to accept. Nathan and I argued about it more than once, in hushed, tired voices after Lily was asleep. I'd point it out, he'd say he noticed but didn't know how to fix it without hurting his mom. I'd ask, "What about Lily? He'd nod, promise to talk to her eventually, then go quiet. By the time this Christmas came around, I was emotionally drained. I'd packed matching outfits for the kids, brought extra pies to share, wrapped thoughtful gifts for everyone. I told myself, this year might be different. But something in me had shifted. I wasn't chasing approval anymore. I was watching, waiting, ready for the moment when silence was no longer the kind choice. And that moment came faster than I expected. It was the way Ellen beamed as she handed Sophie a brand new tablet, kissed Ethan's forehead before giving him a fat envelope of cash, then turned to Lily with a lavender-scented soap bar and said, "Didn't want you to feel completely left out." I looked at Nathan. He didn't speak, didn't blink, but something in his face changed. That's when I knew he hadn't forgotten the box he'd told Lily about months ago. Neither had she. If you're feeling this story, don't forget to like and subscribe. Ellen's house was a holiday showpiece, always. A towering artificial tree grazed the ceiling, decked with silver ornaments and twinkling lights, every branch perfect, like it belonged in a magazine. The fireplace glowed, the table gleamed with fine china, and gifts piled so high under the tree you could barely see its base. It should have felt like magic. Instead, my stomach nodded the moment we walked in. Lily stepped ahead of me, her curls bouncing, wearing the silver dress she'd picked out herself. She held a small wrapped gift, the one she'd made for Ellen in art class, a painted wooden box with tiny beads glued on, Grandma written in wobbly glitter letters across the top. She was so proud of it. Ellen barely glanced at her when we arrived. She hugged Sophie and Ethan, laughing about how tall they'd gotten, handed Sophie a velvet pouch with a wink, "Don't open it yet." Then turned to Lily and said, "Hi, sweetie, you look festive." She took the gift from Lily's hands without really looking, setting it on a side table like it was a stray napkin. Lily didn't say a word. She glanced at me, then sat on the couch next to Sophie. The kids played while the adults made small talk, but I sat on the edge of it all, watching my daughter fade into the background of her own family. After dinner, it was gift time. Ellen always turned it into a performance, sitting in her armchair, handing out presents like a queen. Ethan went first, tearing open an envelope stuffed with cash. Everyone clapped. Sophie was next, unwrapping a tablet and a matching necklace with real pearls. She hugged Ellen so tightly the tablet nearly slipped. Then Ellen called Lily's name. There was a long pause before she held up a small gift bag and said, "This is for you, sweetheart. Didn't want you to feel completely left out." Lily stood, walked over quietly, and took the bag. Inside was a lavender soap bar in a plain plastic case, a tag attached that read, "To Nathan's girl." That was it. No envelope, no toy, no shine, just soap and a tag that cut like glass. I looked at Nathan. He stared at the floor, hands clasped, jaw rigid. Lily sat beside me, the soap in her lap. She didn't cry or frown, but I saw her retreat inward, the kind of quiet that lingers in a child long after the moment passes. Ellen moved on, handing out more gifts, everyone laughing, eating dessert, toasting with wine. I barely heard it. My eyes stayed on Lily. She said a soft thank you when Ellen asked, pretended to admire Sophie's necklace. Later, in the kitchen, I cornered Nathan. "You need to say something," I whispered. "She called your daughter Nathan's girl, like she's a stranger." He didn't answer right away, then said, "I told Lily to give her the box if this happened again. I told her she could decide when it was time." I stared. "You're serious?" He nodded. "She remembers." If this story's hitting you, share it with someone who needs to hear it and subscribe for more. In the car on the way home, Lily sat quietly in the back, holding her soap, her voice small when she asked, "Is Grandma mad at me?" I reached for her hand, but Nathan spoke first. "No, sweetheart," he said. "Grandma just forgot something important. But I think she's about to remember." Lily looked at the box in her lap, the one Nathan gave her months ago, wrapped in plain blue paper. She nodded once and said, "Then I want to give it to her tomorrow." That's when I knew this wasn't just another moment we'd sweep under the rug. This wasn't another lesson in patience or polite silence. Something was changing. My daughter wasn't going to stay invisible anymore. When we got home, I helped Lily out of the car while Nathan grabbed the leftover pies. She held the soap in one hand, the box in the other, both like fragile pieces of her heart. She was quiet, but her face held a calm resolve, like she'd already decided. I asked if she wanted a bath or a movie before bed. She said no, just wanted to get ready for tomorrow. I paused. What's tomorrow? She looked at me like I should know. Brunch at Grandma's. I'm giving her the box. My breath caught, not from fear, but from the quiet certainty in her voice. No hesitation, no questions, just a choice made by a 7-year-old who'd had enough. Nathan came in as I brushed Lily's hair. She looked up at him and asked, "Can I still give it to her?" He nodded. "It's your choice, Lily. I told you that from the start." She smiled, not her usual bright grin for ice cream or zoo trips, but something smaller, focused, like she understood the weight of what she carried. After she went to bed, I asked Nathan what was in that box. He sat at the kitchen table, looking drained, like he'd been carrying a storm. "A few months ago, I watched her play with Sophie at Ethan's birthday," he said. "They were in the backyard. Ellen called them in for cake. Sophie and Ethan got slices with extra icing and candles. Lily got the plain end piece, no decoration, nothing. I remembered that day, telling myself it wasn't on purpose. She asked me if she was someone's cousin too," he went on. "That night, I wrote a letter. I printed the adoption papers again. I packed the box. I told Lily she could give it to my mom if she ever made her feel like she didn't belong again." My throat tightened. "And you never told me?" "I didn't want to make it a fight," he said. "I didn't want to drag you into another argument about my family. But I needed Lily to know I saw it. I needed her to have something to stand on." I'd spent years waiting for Nathan to draw a line, and here he was, having done it quietly, not with shouting, but by giving his daughter the power to say enough. If you're moved by this, hit that like button and leave a comment with your story. The next morning, Lily got ready like it was a school picture day. She asked to wear her silver dress again, wanted her curls redone, chose the same sparkly headband she wore the day Nathan signed her adoption papers. She didn't say it was for luck, she didn't need to. I knew. In the car, she held the blue box with both hands, no fidgeting, no second thoughts. When we arrived at Ellen's, everything looked the same wreath, the same cinnamon and bacon smell, the same polite smiles and empty compliments. But something felt different, not in the room, but in us. We weren't visitors trying to fit in anymore. We were a family carrying our truth. Lily barely touched her plate at brunch. Ellen praised Sophie's outfit 3 times, never mentioned Lily's. When dessert was passed around, Lily stood up. No one noticed at first. Then she walked to the head of the table, where Ellen sat with her coffee mug, and placed the box in front of her. "Grandma," she said clearly, "Dad told me to give this to you if you ever ignored me again." The room went still. Ellen gave a small, confused laugh. "What's this, sweetheart?" Lily didn't answer. She stepped back and sat down. Nathan reached for my hand under the table, gripping it tightly. The box was still closed, but not for long. Ellen picked it up like it was a joke, turning it over, raising an eyebrow with a half-laugh that didn't match the silence spreading across the table. Everyone was watching now. Nathan's sister looked puzzled, Sophie stared, Ethan kept munching a muffin, oblivious. Ellen peeled the blue paper slowly, like she was performing. Her smile vanished when she opened the lid. On top was a photo in a white frame, Nathan in a hospital chair, holding Lily the day she turned 2, cake on her cheeks, her arms around his neck, taken at her adoption celebration. The caption in silver read, "Day 1 Dad." Beneath it was a sealed envelope. Ellen's face changed, her mouth tightening as she reached in with trembling hands. She pulled out the first document, Lily's adoption papers, signed by a judge, Nathan's name clear under father, the court seal stamped at the bottom. She blinked hard, like it might change if she looked again. It didn't. Then she opened a folded letter in Nathan's handwriting. He didn't flinch as she read, but his grip on my hand tightened. Ellen's lips moved silently, her face crumbling with every word. The letter read, "Mom, if you're reading this, it means you've hurt my daughter again, not just mine by love, but mine by law, by promise, and by choice. I've watched you treat Lily like an outsider for years. I hoped you'd change, that you'd open your heart like I did. But if she had to give you this box, it means she saw what I saw, that you don't see her as real. Lily is my child, your granddaughter. If you can't love her equally, you don't love me. I won't let her grow up thinking she has to earn a place in this family. She belongs. She always has. If you can't accept that, you're no longer welcome in our home or our lives. Nathan." When she finished, Ellen dropped the letter like it burned her. Her face was pale, her eyes darting for someone to save her. No one spoke. Then, like something inside her broke, she screamed, a sharp, raw sound, like a mask had been torn away. She stood so fast her chair scraped the floor. Sophie flinched. Ethan froze. Nathan's sister reached to steady the table, but Ellen backed away, muttering, "I can't believe you'd humiliate me like this." Nathan stood. "We didn't humiliate you," he said. "You did that yourself." Ellen pointed at me. "This is her doing. This woman turned you against your own mother." I stood too, voice steady. "No," I said. "Lily gave you a gift. She gave you a chance to see her. You chose not to." For a moment, the only sound was the fireplace crackling. Lily sat quietly, watching, not scared, not confused, just witnessing the truth unfold. Nathan held out his hand to her. "Ready to go?" She nodded, stood, and I grabbed our coats, helping her into hers. No one stopped us. No one said goodbye. We walked out, me, my husband, our daughter, leaving behind a house of decorations, perfect table settings, and hollow approval. If this resonates with you, like this video and subscribe for more stories like this. In the car, Lily buckled her seatbelt and stared ahead. She was quiet, then softly asked, "Do you think she read the whole letter?" Nathan glanced at her in the rearview mirror. Every single word. Lily smiled, not wide, not dramatic, just enough to show something inside her had settled. Not because Ellen had changed, but because she didn't need her to anymore. We didn't go back to Ellen's after that. No more birthday parties, no forced holidays, no pretending. There were no angry texts or tearful calls, just silence. She didn't reach out, and we didn't chase her. For the first time, there was peace. I thought Lily might ask about her, maybe feel sad, but instead, I saw a quiet freedom. She stopped watching the door at family gatherings, stopped asking why her gifts were different or her name left off crafts. She stopped measuring her worth by someone else's actions. A week after Christmas, a small padded envelope arrived for Lily. Inside was a silver bracelet with a tiny star charm and a note from Sophie. "I'm sorry Grandma was mean. You're my cousin forever. I bought this with my allowance." Lily read it twice, then slid the bracelet on. She didn't ask to wear it every day, she just did. That small gesture meant more than any extravagant gift. It showed me kids don't need perfection, they need to feel chosen, seen, heard. As for Nathan, something shifted in him too. He'd carried the guilt of balancing his mother and daughter, trying to bridge worlds that wouldn't meet. After that brunch, I saw relief in his eyes, not just resolve, but freedom. He'd chosen Lily, no apologies, no regrets. One night, I found him sitting on her bed while she slept, watching her breathe. He looked at me and said, "I should have done it sooner." "You did it when she needed you to," I said. We started new traditions, smaller, slower, real. Lily helped bake cookies for neighbors, built blanket forts, watched movies in pajamas. We didn't replace what was lost, we built what was true. People say cutting off toxic family is easy, like drawing a line and moving on. It's not. It hurts, even when it's right. But what hurts more is watching your child shrink to fit someone else's comfort. I won't do that again. I won't ask Lily to accept less just because someone refuses to give more. That day at Ellen's wasn't about drama or revenge. It was about Lily claiming her space in a room where she'd been treated like a guest. It was about her saying, "I belong," even when someone tried to make her feel she didn't. It was about us, her parents, standing behind her with more than words. Lily doesn't talk about the box anymore. She doesn't need to. I kept it, though, in a drawer with her first baby shoes and hospital bracelet, not to remember the pain, but the strength it took to face it. The strength in her voice, the quiet power in her choice. She's only 7, but she taught me something I'll carry forever. Family isn't who makes the loudest show of love in front of others, who shares your name or blood. Family is who shows up when it matters, who protects you when it's hard, who makes you feel safe when the world makes you feel small. Lily has that now, not because someone gave it to her, but because she claimed it. And in doing so, she gave it to us too. If this story moved you, if it reminded you of someone you're fighting for or stood up to, like this video and share it with someone who needs to know they're not alone. Leave a comment below. I read every one, and your stories matter here. Subscribe and turn on notifications for more true stories about moments that change everything. Because sometimes, the smallest voices carry the loudest truth.